Hi everyone, my name is Jesus Chavez. I grew up in Visalia, California with my two brothers and sister. I graduated from Golden West High School in 2009 and studied at UC Berkeley where I majored in social welfare. The topic of today is on poverty. For me, poverty is immigrating to the United States without an education, working minimum wage with no health insurance, struggling to pay bills, living paycheck to paycheck, asking oneself, what am I going to feed my children tomorrow? Or do we have enough clothes for the winter? At least those have been my experiences growing up in Tulare County. Now, according to the U.S. Department of Commerce, 13.3% of people 25 years or older in Tulare County have earned a bachelor's degree. Now, Tulare County, I know 61% of the population is Latino Hispanic, with a large majority with an immigrant background. The older generation, like my parents, didn't have the opportunity to an education, and they, along with so many immigrants, come to this country to work and provide for their young families, not knowing English and with no financial support to educate themselves. In addition, our youth oftentimes are left alone because parents have to work. The culture I come from sees education as a privilege, but oftentimes we are turned away from these opportunities because our immigration status and the lack of cultural awareness from institutional systems in education and other institutions like government bodies don't know. So, I am an undocumented immigrant, and I can say that it was tough growing up. My mother was always persistent and made sure our education was first. She doesn't have an education, but she knew the value of one. See, it's a struggle growing up in Tulare County with little resources when it comes to higher education. So when it came to time for me to apply to college, I had many factors that were against me. The main factor was, of course, financial cost. One, I did not qualify for financial aid, and two, my parents made less than $30,000 a year, as equivalent to what I needed to pay 1 year at UC Berkeley. But I was not going to give up easily. I applied to 1 million scholarships and was fortunate to get a substantial amount to help me pay for college. I also worked 3 jobs during college and found several creative ways to make money. And I knew where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, but I was not sure of how I was going to accomplish it. So I started asking questions. I found key people that knew my situation that could guide me. My counselor, my AVID teachers, my French teacher. And trust me, many of my educators did not even know what to do. When they found out about my status, many were surprised, and I think that needs to stop. In order for our youth to thrive in education, our educators need to learn the social barriers that are faced in the community, avoid prejudices and assumptions of where we come from and who we are. We need the support, and we need to be unified if we want rates of higher education to go up. So if you're in college today and are struggling to pay for tuition, don't give up. Ask around. Do not be afraid to tell people your story. Apply to 1 million scholarships and definitely get involved with what interests you. It's not always about studying. It's also about the people you meet and the activities you participate for your career interests. Now, these are my 3 suggestions that could impact poverty based from my personal experiences. 1. Many families in Tulare County live to support their families on very small salaries, not enough to cover basic needs. We need to provide our community with a dignified wage. 2. Higher education needs to be more accessible and affordable. And 3. We need more after-school programs, weekend activities, summer camps that has no cost to get our youth involved and away from the streets and hardships. And I've heard this quote before, where individuals are responsible for living in poverty, they have no one to blame but themselves. And I think this is very unrealistic. It comes from a closed-minded point of view. We're not all fortunate to have been raised in privilege, and we definitely do not all have equity among our resources and opportunities. Yes, we can fight and work for opportunities to advance in social class, but oftentimes we are faced by racism, classism, sexism, factors that don't always permit us to rise. So, I leave you all with this quote that always paved my way to fight for my education. A quote by Cesar Chavez, "Si se puede." During the farm worker movement in the 70s, it wasn't just one person that fought. It was many communities from different cultures that united to fight for workers' rights. To combat poverty, we need to unite, and we need to not classify as the other, but as community working together.